Hello, everybody. I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, I am one of the leadership advisors here at Art+Feminism. My pronouns are she, her, Ella, and welcome to our last virtual editing table of the season, actually. Please stay tuned for the fall events. But I'm going to share a bit more about the vets and our campaign, actually, because this vet's actually part of an ongoing series of public programs that they tie into our yearly campaign theme, which this year is just actually asks you, what would a truly feminist internet look like? So we turn to you actually to get some answers. And one of our goals this year and next year actually is actually to continue to increase visibility and knowledge about female and non-binary folks who are actually making our digital landscape more equitable. These vets, they often have a Wikimedia component. And later today, we spent some time together learning and editing as a collective with the help of brilliant guest Wikimedians. We have here later Melissa Tamani and Flavia Doria. And before I introduce our fantastic guest speaker, I'm going to invite you to create your own Wikipedia page. And while I introduce Dr. Jungs, I'm going to show you the agenda. We have a lot to cover today, but Dr. Alessandra will talk, and then we'll have our training. But Q&A is basically throughout. And I would just invite you to engage with the chat, make friends. This is really your space. This is for us today. So basically, happy Friday. So here we go. Dr. Alessandra Jungs de Almeida is a dear friend and a postdoctoral associate in the Massachusetts Institute of Technology Women's and Gender Studies program. She received a PhD in International Relations from the Federal University of Santa Catarina in Brazil. She is also a research affiliate at MIT's Data+Feminism Lab and at the Federal University of Santa Catarina Center of Gender Studying Foreign Policy and International Politics. As a feminist scholar, Dr. Alessandra's work focuses on reproductive rights and gender-related violence. Her theoretical foundation in these areas is actually grounded in an interdisciplinary approach, drawing from international relations, critical data studies, and gender studies. Welcome, Dr. Jungs. I'm gonna stop sharing, and we'll go from there.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen. 1 second. Here is it. Probably you can already see it, right? Okay, amazing. Thank you so much, Mika, and everybody in Art+Feminism for having me today in this afternoon. I'm so happy to be here with you and also with this important feminists from Argentina. I see Andrea and Lydia here. I'm very happy we're here and other feminists in the group here too. So I'll talk today about two research I'm parting and I also am conducting. One of them is my PhD dissertation defending in Brazil about transnational movements defending abortion rights in the region. And the other research is actually a group I'm part of, the Data Against Feminicide project. It's an international research and also outreach project in which we observe and we collaborate with against feminicide activists that collect data about feminicide. So we'll be talking about this research today. So just to explain for you, I will start by explaining a little bit very briefly. I know we have many feminists here today, and you probably will know a lot a lot more than what I'll talk about the context on abortion rights and feminicide in the region. But I will briefly go through it. I will explain some key concepts from this emerging field of research called critical data studies. And then I'm going to some examples, putting both things together, how feminists are using data for their political goals in these two specific issues, abortion rights and against feminicide in Latin America and the Caribbean. So going a little bit in context, we know that like we as Latin American feminists, feminicides and gender-related violence is not they are not a new thing for us in terms of thinking about problems in a region, right? So I'm bringing here this map from Mundo Sur. Mundo Sur is an organization that brings together many national organizations from civil society in Latin America that actually are collecting data about these gender-related killings, the feminicides, through similar methodologies and categories. So we know from this data collected by these civil society groups, not by the state, unfortunately, that we had more than 12,000 feminicides in the region. Look, we don't have all the countries here in this map. We don't have Mexico, for example, from 2021 until part of 2024. So this is historical problem we feminists we think about and we care about and we fight against. We also know, and this was difficult, it was difficult to choose which kind of data you'd bring here today, but just giving you a broad perspective on the problem of abortion rights in the region. We know that about more than 73 million people, they perform abortions per year. We know that 22 million of people go through this process in unsafe conditions, and that 40,000 people die as a result of these unsafe conditions. We also know that Latin America and the Caribbean is the region with the highest number of deaths on pregnant people because of abortion and unsafe conditions. So this is also a material, concrete problem we as feminists perceive in the region. I bring here also a map from CLACAI. I'll talk more about CLACAI later, the Latin American Consortium Against Unsafe Abortion in Latin America and the Caribbean. And then they have this map on the legislation about abortion in the region. We also know that Latin America and the Caribbean is a region in which abortion is highly criminalized. What unfortunately doesn't mean people won't make abortions in unsafe conditions, what indeed happens independently of the law in place. So we know this is going on, and also all the feminist groups and activism that are going on in the last few years in the region. So it started in 2015, but also very rooted in the national meetings of women in Argentina, Los Encuentros Nacionales de Mujeres in the country. The Ni Una Menos movement started. It was like massive protests against violence against women that emerged in Argentina, but also very quickly it spread through the whole region. In Brazil, just 1 or 2 years later, we were having similar mottos as the Argentinians, using this idea that we don't want more any women to die because of their gender. Also, from the Argentinians and with the Polish feminists who had the beginning of the International Women's Strike in 2017. It still is a strong feminist movement in Latin America and the Caribbean and beyond. In this very same year, 2017, we had protests in Argentina and Poland, but also in 40 different countries around the world, including Brazil. And the problems we were thinking about in the strike are problems related also to gender-related violence and also to abortion rights, as well the precarious work and other capitalist processes we pass through. And also, of course, bringing here the green tide that also builds in like years of struggle of the national campaign in Argentina, also the national women's meetings in Argentina, and is a movement that had its first like street protests that was super big in 2018, the first time the Argentinian Congress, the Senate, was voting the bill legalizing abortion in the country, what was not approved in that year. And in 2020, this picture is from 2020, we had massive protests again in Argentina defending abortion rights by the feminist movement, and many organizations, different social movements as part of that. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of the context of what, in case you were not from Latin America, in case you are, I am pretty sure you know a lot about these and have more nuance in your understanding, but in case you don't, these processes are going on in the region. So of course, these movements are so strong and so spread. Of course, they interact in many and different ways with technology and also data. There are no news here in this sense. So these movements could be analyzed through many and different lenses, let's say. What I'm proposing here, also in contact with the Data Against Feminicide Lab project in the Data+Feminism Lab, is to observe these movements through this field of research called critical data studies, in which how social movements and organizations produce, distribute data, or even refuse data is an important part of this major political goal. Meaning, the goal for these movements from this lens I am proposing here is not collect data or produce data by itself. It's a political goal. They have political goals, but they use data as a mean in this process. So let's go very quickly through some key concepts I'm bringing to you today. We have this idea of data activism that emerged back in the 2010s. Is this idea that it first emerged as this idea that social movements in the civil society could refuse massive collections of data, the big data, as you call in critical data studies. But also, as the time passes, it was observed that some groups, some social movements, some groups in civil society, they were also producing and using data to promote social change, to support political strategies, and to build new forms of collective action. So data activism is a kind of umbrella concept to bring this idea of the work that social movements, non-state actors do with data for political purposes. We also have this concept, and I will ask Mika to share the chapter you wrote, Catherine and Lauren and I, about this idea, the situation of missing data. That's basically when you think about official data, for example, in the feminicides case, we have many problems with governments not collecting this kind of data, or even if collecting, not publishing it, because some governments don't want to be accountable about these killings most of times. So the idea of missing data is when data doesn't exist, is poorly collected, poorly maintained, or poorly updated, difficult to access even when it is collected, or removed in some way. So it's this information that's not produced or shared by institutions that they have the power to do so, but they don't do. So we have different examples about this situation. The feminicides is one. Just a footnote about this concept here. There is a perspective, and this is important, of also some communities, such as indigenous communities, protecting their own data from the state or from powerful institutions. So we also would observe this as a missing data situation, but then the powerful institution would be observing this missing data situation, let's say this way. But mostly feminists, they claim data in these two topics I share with you. They claim data and they produce their counter data, as I'm showing here. So counter data production is another concept of this field of studies, is this idea that individuals such as journalists, for example, or academics, or even social movements, they will produce data to challenge structural inequality, to protest against bias, to protect state inaction, or even to help heal wounded communities, as in the case of the feminicides the data collection about feminicide is a source of memory for these communities that sometimes don't have official data about this kind of violence. Just to give an example here, in Brazil, since 2023, there is an academic group collecting data nationally about feminicides in the country. Its name is Laboratório de Estudos de Feminicídio, the Laboratory of Feminicide Studies. And they counted in 2023 1,706 feminicides in the country. Very careful, with a lot of work from many members of the project. What happened is that their data, with the same categories and the same methodology than the state, they counted 16% more cases than the Brazilian government. So their counter data production is also showing how the state itself is not, let's say, taking care enough or worrying enough about this the kind of data production about this violence. What brings me to where everything started, maybe on the project Data Against Feminicide, the concept of, and I know I have 10 minutes and I'll be very brief here, about the concept of data feminism. So Catherine D'Ignazio is the director of the Data+Feminism Lab and one of the leaders of the Data Against Feminicide project. And with Lauren Klein, she wrote this book called Feminismo de Datos, Data Feminism. It's published also in Spanish, if you want to give it a search, and it's open access, in which they criticize this traditional way of observing how data is collected and produced, and they say there is no neutrality in producing data or in choosing which kind of on how to present data and so on. So they put there a set of seven principles to think about data production from a feminist perspective. They base their perspective in an intersectional, feminist thought approach, and they are also are trying to confront these power asymmetries when producing data, and also thinking about who can produce data, just powerful institutions, or we in our communities, in the place you were in the problems you were rooted in, can we also think and produce the data in relation to the things we think matter, right? So this is an important concept. And then what brings me in this QR code goes to my dissertation. Actually, I think we have the link also, Mika, if you can share. Thank you so much. About the transnational data activism. As I told you, I am from this field called international relations, right? Where I did my PhD. And when I was seeing everything, the Data Against Feminicide project, and observing what I was observing in my field research about how activists against feminicide use data, I observed that there was a room to talk about this kind of transnational data activism, meaning the production, they use, the demand, the refusal of data that's made in collaboration with non-state organizations from different countries. So there is a transnational coordination for the production of data for a political goal. So I'm not worried here, and this international relations theory already says very recently, if the goal of this political coordination is national or is international. What matters here is this transnational coordination to produce this data, to publish this data, and so on, and to use it to somewhere else, something else in the end. So I'll give you some examples here. This is the Latin American Consortium Against Unsafe Abortion. They are an organization that has many networks inside itself, like the Juris Network, the Youth Network, and they have many projects too. I choose just one of them. So they are a network that puts together feminists for abortion rights in the whole region, right? And one of their projects that emerged during the pandemic is this project called Salud Reproductiva es Vital, or Reproductive Health is Essential, in which they contacted many organizations from different countries in the region, and they passed some indicators for these organizations And these organizations made like a research about these indications in their own countries. So when you enter in this website, actually we're observing a civil society monitoring about reproductive health and salud reproductiva, in which the indicators can be compared to. So you can even enter in the country and see all the issues they are observing, but also enter in a specific topic, such as this one that's a big problem in Brazil, the newborns per age of the pregnant person. And you can see what's the difference in the countries. The thing here is that this data is being presented and serving as a way of pressure in international organizations such as the OAS, the CLAC, and also the UNFPA. So this is working as a monitoring effort. Another example of an organization that is very important in the ecosystem for defense of abortion rights in Latin America is the Latin American and Caribbean Network of Catholics for the Right to Decide. They created this regional survey on sexuality, abortion, and religion. The network at this point collected response in 6 countries from more than 6,000 people about specifically crossing religion and abortion opinions. And what's very interesting is that the answers they found from Latin American and Caribbean countries is that most people, in most cases, even being Catholics, they supported abortion to be performed. And so this specific survey has been presented in different space, but also it was used in a specific campaign called Mujer hágase tu voluntad, women, your will be done, in which they use this data as a source of like defense for abortion rights. In my interviews with the Catholics from Brazil specifically, this is a very common tactic they have been using in the last few years. They have been doing research specifically through Ibope, if you have Brazilians here, in which they grab the same kind of opinion about Catholicism and abortion rights, and this is a source of like a source of campaigns to them. The third and last one on in relation to reproductive rights and abortion rights I'd like to bring. It's about the Socorristas en Red, Feministas y Transfeministas que Abortamos. So basically, Socorristas is also one of the, in English, this term does not work very well, the idea of acompañamiento, but they accompany, they are together with people who are or who want to perform abortions. They give information for these people or emotional support. So when I interviewed Lydia, I know Lydia is here, we knew like that there were more than 40 collectives inside the Socorristas en Red in Argentina, and they had done amazing work in being together with more than 38,000 people. This is the number that is in the slide from 2015 to 2019 that performed abortions in the country. The image from the left is a map from 2021 in which they supported more than 11,000 people. What is very interesting for me here first, the accompanamiento networks, they happen in different countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, but through Socorristas en Red with other organizations, they have like funded the Red Compañera, a Latin American organization of acompañamiento. And one of the goals, I know they're still in process and getting stronger, is like to inform, to grab knowledge about the acompañamientos. So this is another example. And just to change of subject, and I will then finish because I know I am 19 minutes. I just want to bring this map from the Data Against Feminicide project, the project that since like the last 5 years, we had interviewed more than 41 activist groups, especially in the Americas, which collect data about feminicide specifically. Not all of them are transnational though, but I want to show the strength they have in the region. For example, here you can see how these data activist practice are connected to these feminist movements in Latin America. You have like collected more, at least we know that at least 190 projects, feminist data activist projects exist around the world. This data collect, we try to focus specifically on the Americas, so we know there are probably many more around the world. But from this data, you know that since 2015, which was the year in which Ni Una Menos started in Argentina, the groups collecting data about feminicide exploded in the sense that we start to have many more. So this is another example, and then we have a lot of people working this project, and I just want to recognize them. And just so I don't need to explain to you an example on transnational data activism about feminicide, but Mundo Sur, that I brought in the beginning to present the data and the problem for you, is an example of transnational data activism about feminicide. They have all these organizations that you can see the logos as part of this initiative, and that collaborate with their data to make this map possible and this monitoring possible. And then finally, I just want to share to you some open access books and reports. The first is the Content Feminicide book by Catherine D'Ignacio. That's open access. In February this year, we also published a book I edited on Estudios Feministas de Seguridad, desde América Latina y el Caribe, Feminist Security Studies from Latin America and the Caribbean, in which you have more than 30 contributors talking about data activism against feminicide, but also talking about international relations and violence against women. And soon we'll be releasing this report on data activism against feminicide. So thank you so much, and I hope to stay in contact and open to questions too.
Thank you so much, Alessandra. Now we have a moment for questions. So I think that's a good moment if you have any outstanding questions to Alessandra before we transitioned into our breakout rooms. They're designated by language. So we will do or conduct our Wikipedia training. And I hope especially for folks coming from organizations, I would love to see some of the pages being created today. We do have time, we'll be tight, but we can actually start thinking about that. So before we move on, I think it's just a good moment if you want to open your mic or just drop the question in the chat. And then, Kira, if you're around, we can start opening slowly the breakout groups for the Wikipedia training. Sim, Ida, we do. Tem tradução. Yes, we do have tradução simultânea.
And I'll speak really quick. This is Miranda speaking. The interpreters are on until up to 2:30 EST. So if anybody has any questions in the shared space for Alessandra before we move to breakout rooms, now is a good time to ask them.
Yeah, so either responding to your question, we'll have breakout groups in different languages. So we'll have the main in English, and then we'll have a breakout room in Portuguese with Flavia, and then in Spanish with Melissa for the training.
Because Sylvia has a question on the chat about what exactly we're going to do on the breakout rooms. I think it would be nice to just explain a little bit.
Oh yeah, claro. In the breakout groups, we'll have the Wikipedia training. So I think our goal for the session is just talking about how Alessandra's talk actually ties in with our work at Art+Feminism in relation to Wikipedia and Wikimedia projects, thinking about the gender bias on the internet and how can we actually make we can take small steps to make a bigger difference on the internet and basically make small changes that they can have a big impact on how we think about data, and knowing all the concepts that Alessandra actually showed us and taught us today, we can actually approach this through Wikipedia. Yes, if you're but you're welcome to stay. We have some space, so it's just more the training, and then it's also a presentation. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and start just giving maybe an overview so people don't get, maybe we can answer some of the questions while we go. So here we go. Going back to our agenda. I think I will start from here and then I'm gonna pause in the second slide so we can open up, just taking advantage of the interpreters before they go in a 20 minutes. So what I'm gonna do now before Flavia and Melissa, they can present their training in their native languages. So I'm just gonna show you some facts about Wikipedia really. And so you can have a sense why it matters that we're gathering here today, and why we do the work we do basically. So Wikipedia is 25 years old now. It is an encyclopedia, it is online, and it's actually a big open source platform that basically anyone can edit with a computer and internet access. So, and it has been like this since then, since the early 2000s. So if you use Wikipedia, I'm sure if you don't use it, you know about it. So it's just one of the corners of the internet that we actually have access basically every day and every hour in most of the roads. So it is available in over 300 languages now, and it's basically one of the most visited websites on the internet, and is also curated basically by volunteers, and definitely like a huge and large group. And also thinking about how organizations and actually companies, they use Wikipedia, such as Google and other voice assistants, thinking about Siri and Alexa, for instance. They actually pull out information from Wikimedia projects so they can answer to some of our questions online. So even though we might not think that we're using Wikipedia, it's just so ubiquitous that sometimes we are, and we're not even aware of that fact. So as you can see, Wikipedia is it's part of our daily digital lives and basically our lives as a whole. And however, yes, Wikipedia is fantastic. And I would love to know if you can just drop in the chat, when was the last time you used Wikipedia, if you use it all. It is amazing, and it got better and better over time. But also we have some issues. And thinking about all the knowledge we gained from Alessandra today, we have the gender bias and the gender gap on Wikipedia project. So now that we know that anyone can edit, actually doesn't mean that everybody does, unfortunately. So something we know about Wikipedia is just that editors are largely cis white men from the global north. And I think a question do we have, thinking about all the counter data, and how do you actually counter Wikipedia's systemic bias? I think that's a question I have. And yes, we even have an article about that. It's just interesting that we do acknowledge it, but we have to address it. So I have some revealing data that in 2011, the Wikimedia Foundation, which is just the mother of Wikipedia and other wiki projects, found that at the time, less than 10% of its global contributors identify it as female. And at the time, data on gender diverse editors was basically non-existing. That figure changed over time. We're definitely not where it could be and at where it should be, which is basically 50-50. We're still behind on those numbers. We're now at about 20%, but it's still less than 20%. So thinking about how can we think that editors and people who are actually creating articles on Wikipedia, which is basically people like you and me, and I am definitely doing, it's just that the subjects that we actually end up editing, they might reflect this disproportionate data, actually, this as Alessandra said, the asymmetry in the data and the numbers and the content that is actually being portrayed and available on the internet. So over time, we don't have to be super creative as to think and imagine what happens if you're not being actually mentioned in a global free open source encyclopedia. We know that this is a problem. And I think in the past 10 years, not just Art+Feminism and several other Wikimedia affiliated groups and people in academia and different research and community projects, they've been thinking about how actually to make those numbers better and decrease this huge discrepancy, really. So a few years ago, Tripodi wrote a really good paper on notability, which is a topic that we'll cover during the training. And also the notion of female and male biographies. And from an Art+Feminism perspective, we're thinking about gender more broadly. But also within the Wikimedia movement, there are different views on what does that mean. And we can talk more about this later, but knowing that the absences on Wikipedia, they echo across the internet in our digital lives, basically. As we mentioned, platforms, they've been using Wikimedia content to actually help us to keep us informed. So if you're not being our perspectives are not on Wikipedia, they might not be anywhere. I will stop here, knowing that we have a minute to go into our breakouts. And I wonder if this is the time before I move on with the training.
Hey, Michaela, this is Kira speaking. I think now is a good time for invite everyone to pick the breakout that is most appropriate for you. So as Michaela mentioned, we will be now transitioning into the hands-on interactive part of today's session. And please don't be scared. Don't be intimidated. You don't have to by going in a breakout, you don't have to talk or anything like that. So don't feel intimidated by that. We just want to invite people to be in the space that feels best for them based on language. So to stay in the main room, if English is your preference, Flavia is going to go over to the Portuguese room to facilitate and run the training there. Melissa will be in the Spanish room. So Flavia and Melissa, if you want to go ahead and join those rooms, and then we will, they're open now. So then from there, I want to invite everyone else to go ahead and please pick the room that feels best suited for you. Flavia and Mel are already in the breakout rooms ready for you all. And then if English is your preference, you're in the right spot. Does anybody have any questions about what we're doing now or in general?
Ira, maybe just explain how to enter in the breakout room. So there is you can click in breakout room below here in the Zoom page, and then it will open like Espanhol e Português, and then you can choose one and join.
Yes, thank you. So does everybody see that breakout room button at the bottom of your screen? If you need any help or have questions, please raise your hand or put it in the chat. I know that Miranda is doing a great job of engaging in the chat there. All right, we'll give it another minute or so for people to get into the room that you feel most comfortable in. And then, Michaela, you can take it from there. I'm also gonna, thank you.
Thank you, Kira. This is Michaela speaking. Also, before they go, I want to thank the interpreters for being here with us. Just making sure that I show my appreciation for this multilingual event today. And if you feel comfortable speaking and listening the session in English, if you feel that this is the right spot for you, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and move on. And again, don't echoing Kira, don't feel scared or don't shy away from Wikipedia. It's just definitely easier than it looks, and you don't have to anything. So you can just attend and see if it's a good project for you to engage now or maybe later. And we'll be always available through email also to help out if folks have questions. So coming from the point that we are at 20%, in users and thinking about gender and the gender bias on Wikimedia projects. We've been inviting folks to edit on Wikipedia and other projects for 10 years now, and we've been training people on how to do that and creating pages on the subject that most important to them, and also thinking about how can we make the articles already available there better. So we'll be thinking about the editor, which is now, as I said, is just you and me. And we have a few actually guidelines and on Wikimedia project. So we do have a couple of things that we like to see. Editing on Wikipedia is just real fun, but it is a responsibility knowing that it's just open to everybody all the time. So a few guidelines, and we can debate about them because sometimes they don't look that straightforward. So one of the things is just the most basic one is stay neutral, and we like to say that at this time. And in that, staying neutral here means that we should represent information without bias, knowing that we shouldn't be replicating what actually the issues we've seen in Alessandra's talk and later with the bias on Wikimedia. The other point is just maintain verifiability, which means that people reading and editing the encyclopedia, they should be able to check information at all times. And the information should come from reliable sources, which goes to the next topic. And what we say about reliable sources, what sources are what we consider reliable sources on Wikipedia, I will show you an article and we can navigate together and see what we consider and where they go. Everything that you write on Wikipedia has to be backed up by a reliable source and a piece of information that is already available, what we call secondary sources. In that sense, no original research. Everything that goes there, all the materials, they must be linked to a reliable source that already exists, thinking all the links that Miranda, or Art+Feminism colleague, posted on the chat coming from Alessandra, and book chapters, and not just academic ones, but thinking about newspapers that they are reliable, how we use, we don't use original research, how we use secondary sources. So there's also a topic that is really interesting, which is the notability one. And I think, yes, I agree that this sounds debatable, because it means that if an article hasn't received significant coverage by third-party newspapers or reliable sources, websites, and academia, they might not be able to stay live on Wikimedia or Wikipedia projects. So, but we do have a few examples that they don't have that many sources, but they have like really good ones. So we can go about thinking about notability. And there's one that is just work in good faith, which is basically be nice to each other. It's a huge community. There's people from all over editing. So just being nice to your neighbor, really. And asking for help is another way for you to learn how to do this work. And everything might seem too abstract, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you this in a Wikipedia page. And what we have here now, it's Adminality's Wikipedia page, is a bio. Ad is an amazing visual artist based in Buenos Aires in Argentina. And Ad actually, if you're in Brazil right now, you will have the opportunity to see their project called the Feminist Library at the Pinacoteca in São Paulo. Such a beautiful work. So, and I'm gonna show you through Ad's page, and I hope you can see my cursor. So I'm gonna show you a few buttons actually, what we call the anatomy of the page. And these are a couple of things that you probably have seen a Wikipedia page before in your language, in multiple languages, but just so we can make aware as a user, from a user point of view, which is just the people who edit. Of course, we have a search button. Now there's like a Wikipedia app that you can download to your phone, and I use it all the time. I have my own, and adds the name, either the biography or the organization, comes bigger as a heading. The first thing comes in bold, and we have this info box, which is just a really good piece of information that usually it's just generated sometimes by Wikidata, which is another project that is just a sister project, as we call, from Wikipedia. And there's a few you know, demographic information about this person that usually is being portrayed. And there are a few sections. This is a very basic one, the early life and education. In the case of the artist, career and artistic practice, what Ad has been doing the past now 2 decades of work. In the case of editing, there's the editing button, which says here, edit source. If you're inside your own account, and we'll go over setting up an account for you so you can play with. And there's also just edit without the source, because there are a couple of ways of editing. And there's the language button. You will find that I believe Ad's piece is in Spanish, Portuguese, and I'm not sure the other one. But you can just click and see their page. You can also edit by section, but just by clicking on the edit of that particular section. Sometimes articles are fairly long and you don't want to scroll all down. Usually the red links, as you can see, the hyperlinks, these are pages that they don't exist yet. So they're about to be created. In this case, it's in Spanish, so there's a language component here. and absolutely all the hyperlinks that takes you into articles and articles and that big rabbit hole of Wikipedia, which we love. And now, when you edit, when you have your own Wikipedia account, this is basically what you see. Your name, and doesn't have to be your proper name. In the case of my account, is just me because I do this on a daily basis, but it doesn't have to. You can find a nickname, which is actually advised. And here we have this tag actually that looks a lot like a Word, a document, or basically a WordPress with all the important buttons in the article. This is the hyperlink. It's just something that usually we use a lot. And most importantly is the citation. If you think about the reliable sources that we covered before, everything goes here. And there's a magic to it because sometimes you just put a link and they generate the sources. And I'm going to show you this in a minute. But I just want you to see each button. So here is the editing and the publishing. When you decide to publish, it usually gets in blue. And you see in a minute too. But basically, everything looks like the other side, you know, as a reader, but here are the user. And again, the references, they go at the bottom of the page. And if you scroll down to every single Wikipedia page, I'm sure you'll find this. Some of them, they're more organized, some of them, they're longer or shorter, depending on the article you're reading. So, and I'm also going to show you how to, again, generate those amazing references. And there's also the talk button, which is just tend to be overlooked, but this is the place that is just close to the article. There's the talk page. And this is something that we click when we want to talk and connect with other Wikimedians, or other Wikimedians, they want to connect with us. Usually comes with a box when the page is being reviewed and revised by the community, because every single article usually gets reviewed or revised. And there's a box similar like that. This is a page of someone that is alive. So there's the biographies of living persons component to it and some demographic information. Now, I'm going to show you if we have maybe a volunteer, someone that is just willing to create your account with me, because I do have my account, so I can show you how to actually be on Wikipedia on the other side. I can't see the chat, so if there's anything that I need to read, please let me know. But I would love for you not to be shy about it, because it's actually having an account just like other accounts you have. And usually the links when you create your account, they will, in your page, user page, they will look similar like this. They will look like in red because they are new. This is actually my Spanish account. I usually add it in English and the Portuguese Wikipedias. They are different from language to other languages. So you need to set up accounts if you're thinking about editing in different languages. You need to set up accounts in different languages.
Hey, Michaela, this is Kira. Caroline has volunteered in the chat.
Oh, thank you, Caroline. Okay. I'm gonna stop
Okay,
sharing.
what do I need to do?
So Caroline, I'm not sure if you set up your account, but I'm going to send again, I believe Miranda did in the chat, a link on how to create your account, but I'm gonna send it again. And I'm gonna give you a minute. So you can set up an account, and thinking about, it will ask you your email, a password, and and the username. So my advice for the username, just that you don't have to use your own, and don't use the organization that you provide services for or you're affiliated with somehow. Usually it's not advised that you're, on behalf of an organization. So my suggestion is just a simple, fun nickname, and then I can show you how to navigate this. And let me know if you have
Give me
any
one
questions.
second. I'm signing up.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Eva. Yes, there it is. You can always send an email to info@. Or you can email me directly. Let me just send this. Let me just put in a chat.
Okay, done.
Awesome. So, Eva, this is for you, and also my email. Feel free to message us. Okay, Caroline, here we go. Kira, can Caroline share her screen for the second so we can walk
Yes.
her through? Thank you. So Carolina, if you could share your screen, we can do it.
Okay, give me 1 second. This may sound like a stupid question, but how do I share my screen in Zoom?
Okay, in the bar, the lower bar, there's a green button,
Okay, yeah, got it.
share, and then you pick one of the screens that you have.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right,
Awesome.
do you see it?
I do. So something we will do, you see that it's just asking you a few preferences. We can change some of them later on.
Mm-hmm.
You go in the bar that it says where is actually showing in blue your nickname.
Okay.
You can click on it. Yeah, so this is actually your user page that is not, it's not created yet.
Let me log in.
Yes, thank you. Yes, you can click. And now you can go in start a user. You see inside of the box in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
you can create if you go down a bit, the first bullet point, start a user. Nice. And then you can click start editing. We might need to change the visual because you do have a visual editor and the source editor that looks like programming, but it's just simple. But I'm
Okay.
gonna ask you to click on that little pencil next to preview in that box. Yes, you can click there and go to visual. Perfect. So you can click, and this is actually your space. So you can write maybe that you're interested, you can write that you attended an Art and Feminism training, you're a new Wikipedian. Yeah, and then we can keep changing. So this is really your space, and you can, tailor it as you like, depending on the things that you like to do.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you've done, amazing. So we can test some buttons. You can yeah, there's some publish page, and this every time that you create or edit something, there's a box that shows up asking you what you just did so the community can know. And you can, next time you can just say, well, I created my user page or I added my user page, and just like simple notes so the community can learn what you just did.
Okay.
So now, yeah, you're basically in that little box, close to your name, there's a bell and there's a little screen, and that is just a message saying, welcome to Wikipedia, you just made your first edit, really nice. And you can go to your homepage or search any article, basically. I have a list. Yeah, we'll give you suggestions. There's the translation button. There's like several things you can do. And I think what I can show you, yeah, it gives you like several suggestions, but if you have things that you like to be working on by yourself, you're also super free to do it. I'm gonna show you now that I have some suggestions, and especially because I want to show you basic buttons and hyperlinks. So that's it, Caroline. You're in. You're basically in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for volunteering. Now I'm gonna show you from my own account. And we will do here. This is ads page again. And I'm gonna show you basically, I'm not gonna do edit source, which I recommend because it does look like that. So just because if you're doing this as a young Wikipedian, I would always recommend to go into the pencil and change to the visual editor. So here we are. And so we can test buttons. Remember, this is the hyperlink, and this is the quotes link, the citation link. So first we're gonna do a hyperlink. So first thing we can do is actually highlighting a concept, a term, a sentence, or a word, as you can see, and then you go here, and there's all the hyperlinks. It links to every single Latin America reference within Wikipedia. And what you're thinking, it's Latin America as a region. So here we are. And that's a new edit. And that's actually super helpful because it takes people to other windows, they learn new things. This is South America also as a region. There are the countries, especially other concepts. In the case of soft sculptures, that is just a very specific practice that AD has been doing. Have their feminist readings, and their work is based on queer theories and the legacy of abstraction art, actually. And now AD's just very interested in mushrooms, so you can continue to write on and on. But I would love to show you, let me just publish that. Yes, hyperlinks. And then I publish, and now it's there. So I'm just gonna get actually one of the links that Alessandra actually shared with us. That's actually the book, Data Activism from Dr. Catherine Dinasio. And you can see that I can basically add that to the page. I'm also gonna share with you so you can have the ebook because it's amazing and super helpful. Open access. This is the little something for you here. And I'm gonna show you how to do it on Wiki. This is the basically the same link. Sharing with you. I'm gonna do it so you can see the sources. Let's go back to ads page. We'll add it again. So we can go down and there's like different, if there's several pieces of information about ads, exhibition history, the books that and the author's ad has been reading. Everything is just based on that reference that goes to the reference page. And because we're thinking and saying that minorities, it's based on their readings of feminist and queer theories, we'll add this notion, a citation to this piece. So we go in that citation link. We'll go automatic. You can do it manually and you can reuse something that it's already there. So I'm just gonna click and hopefully this will work. And this is the same. And there we go. And there's the simple. And usually you can complete, you can just insert and then you can add it manually as you're seeing here. So last name, we can put maybe Catherine. As you et al. Is there we go. And it gives you all the information that you want. And you can apply the changes. Oops. I'm gonna fix that later. But you can do it manually or you can just go in the citation button and do the magic, basically. And you can see that this is number 3. And if we go down that page, looking at the references, number 3, it's right here. Oh, he doesn't want me to do the et al. So can just fix it later. I want to hear from you guys. So if you have any questions as we go, if there's anything very specific that you want to know, I hope you're creating your accounts and setting up your user pages so you can do your own edits. Let me know.
Hey, Michaela, this is Kira.
Yes.
I was wondering if you think that it could make sense to show people the dashboard to be able to sign up there and capture some of those edits and also to explain what the dashboard is.
Absolutely. Okay. Let me see.
And really quick, this is Miranda as well. Michaela, I just sent you a message, but I sent a link to somebody in the chat about signing up to the dashboard, and there might be a passcode. So I'm not sure if you have a more public link for that.
Thank you. Let me just stop sharing and go find that dashboard. Miranda, can you try and refresh maybe and let me know? I just removed what seems to be the public.
This one works now. Thank you, Michaela. I'll drop it in the
so-
chat.
Yeah, I just did. And I do have a task list, but I think now I'm just gonna show you the dashboard and what does it look like and how do we use it. So this is another interface that is just was created by the Wikimedia Foundation to track our progress during public events. So this is the dashboard. This is the dashboard for today's event. This is a place that usually when you create your Wikipedia account, oh, there you go. These numbers, they will increase as we go. And from time to time, it gets updated automatically. And here we have all the possible edits in different projects. Here there's a very detailed description of what the event is, what institution is actually providing and facilitating the event, and the campaigns. And that's actually a super helpful tool because we do know after, just beforehand usually and afterwards, how many edits and how many people, the total of edits, and actually the articles we've been creating. So it doesn't show, used to be faster, but now it takes a couple of hours to get updated. But usually you see here some of the articles and the editors that are signed up. This is all you guys signing up here. I'm gonna just add myself maybe later. And that's where we keep our progress. So we do hope that you create your account and join our workspace here. That's just really a workspace. I can see that the articles, they are not here, but here to go. And again, if you have questions as we go, please let me know.
Hello, this is Carmen speaking. In order to, right now, which are the articles that we need to work on?
Yeah, so I have a list right here in front of me. And you can store by small hyperlinks. You can add sentences. You can think about the links Alessandra posted on the chat. And I'm around if you wanna go step by step again, and I can show you again.
Okay, thank you so much. I have another question.
Yes.
This is more, thank you so much for your training. I really like it. And I'm curious, like, how is it that you, what is your routine in like editing Wikipedia? Like I'm just curious about like how you are incorporating editing in Wikipedia in your daily life.
That's a great question, Carmen. Thank you for that question. Yes, so I am affiliated with Art+Feminism, and it has been a few years now. So this is every year we have our campaign team, and Miranda, who is here, our Wikimedia assistant, they've been creating the task list. So for every campaign team and basically every event, we set up lists like they look like this. And we've been working on them ever since to improve these articles. And I also have another role with a museum organization. I am what we call Wikimedian in residence, that 3 days in a week, I work with them and for them, looking at the museum collection and improving the articles about the artists in the collection, and often creating new articles. So we can have, better representation of that collection. In the case of visual arts as a whole, for instance, Admin Nulitis page, I created it as part of that museum project. So it's maybe because I am a paid Wikipedian, what they call for the museum, which is less common, but definitely not rare. I get to edit almost every day. So I do edit a lot. And sometimes, when you are into this network, you ended up looking at and reading pages. So you're always fixing and looking at the structure of the article and changing things bit by bit. But that's not the case for everybody. So because the platform is open, you can really like add and a hyperlink once a week. You can just, go and think about grammar once a week or once a month. It's up to you to decide when you can do it, and then you're actually available to it, because for most people, it's definitely a volunteer work. And that tends to add to the day jobs you have, other responsibilities, life responsibilities you have. But I tend to add it a lot. I don't know if that answers your question, Carmen.
Yes, thank you so much. I don't know if you want to answer this or if I have time, but I'm curious, how is it that you got started in the Wikipedia?
That's also an amazing question. And I answered that question. I get this question a lot. And I think I have to say, I'm very proud to say that I started by attending an Art+Feminism event probably now 5-6 years ago. And I had no idea that I could actually edit on Wikipedia, that this was actually possible. And I was trained as an art historian. I am a museum professional, so it was actually very natural to me that I would just edit, about arts and visual arts topics. And that makes a lot of sense when I met the people actually giving the training. So I started like little by little, not knowing anything really. I started like creating an account in a program like that. Back in the day, it wasn't a remote event. I believe it was just was in New York. So and I understood that that was the work that I could do that will make a huge difference for people seeking information online. And I started doing it little by little. And then it got integrated because the more I would edit, I would see people doing it in different institutions, in different museums, different community gatherings. And the campaign runs year round. So you can go into the Art+Feminism website and see a huge event list happening all over the globe, really. It's a huge, very international. I ended up organizing a series of events. And then the pandemic came and I was so at home and I continued to edit. And at some point that got really integrated into the work I do for museums, which is just usually I get to write about the collection, about the artists, the exhibitions. So it was also a very smooth transition on what I would write for Wikipedia, and especially because for museums, we tend to do so much research and gather sources and tons of references that we don't get to show to the public. So you getting all that, the sources and the research, just putting a reference, and that actually helps, because I love when I have to write about an artist that I go to a Wikipedia page that is complete and I read the reference. Everything is just so compiled and combined in one place that makes my life much easier, to be honest. So I think This is actually really helpful. And thinking about the work, for instance, that Dr. Alessandra has been doing, just seeing how that can actually have a huge impact to groups and communities that they need the information, and it's often information that it gets skewed in the case of the government or by different groups with power. So I believe that there are different ways of thinking and approaching Wikipedia. So I think that's how I started, just by going to the events and getting a bit of training and just increasing that training later.
Thank you. That is really inspiring.
Is this your first? Now I have a question for you. Is this your first event, Art+Feminism event?
Oh my God. You know, to be sincere, when I log in, because you mentioned, oh, create an account and all that, I I realized that actually I created an account 5 years ago, but it's just that I'm so afraid of like um being out there, like I'm English is my second language, although now I can know that I can also do in Spanish, but it's just I'm afraid of like maybe like no doing credit or not doing it right. I'm always tends to be like that, so I'm trying to like fight that like perfectionism and just do the things like little by little. I mean, it's so simple, but not simple, but it's just that I don't know how to explain it.
No, this is amazing. I can't believe you had an account that is just 5 years old. I love
Yeah.
that. And something I learned throughout times and with the Wikipedia colleagues. And of course, I don't know everything. There's always somebody that knows more. There's people editing Wikipedia since the early stages. So they got updated with the platform, which is amazing. There's no way to break Wikipedia. Everything is just going to stay that there's no button that you can delete Wikipedia, so you can really test it out. Especially if you have to write in the wiki page that is just more, it feels more natural to you, the language Wikipedia. So again, of course, I am a native in Portuguese, so I started writing in Portuguese and then transitioned to English, and I do both. And again, just creating the confidence, it's in your own language first. And again, little by little, just adding the reference and the hyperlinks. And then you see the structure, you start checking actually. Then most articles, they have a pretty set structured on having that name, the heading, the sections, the reference goes at the bottom. And then that starts getting more natural to you when you edit. But yeah, don't feel shy about it, and definitely don't scare, because there's no way to destroy. There's no way to, damage Wikipedia.
But thank you so much.
Very welcome. And again, Carmen, if you wanna just for the day add some hyperlinks or go into those pages, and please make some edits. And we're here to support you always. I would love to see you actually leaving the room today, actually adding and contributing to Wikipedia.
Okay, I will do that.
Do it. Yeah, Mohammed, if you can hear me, I hope you can. Yes, I'm just gonna please do. I hope you can see the chat. Thanks, Miranda, for so much work in the chat.
Hey, this is Kira. I was going to follow up with that question, Miranda. If anybody is trying or is interested in editing in a language that isn't English, Portuguese, or Spanish, if you could let us know in the chat, Michaela can add that to the dashboard so then you can still be part of, those edits can still be tracked as part of this workshop.
Yes, and if for whatever reason you created your page in the English Wikipedia, which seems that the link, I can help you actually switch languages. It's just pretty simple. If you need help with that.
Hey, Michaela, this is Miranda speaking. Carmen's asking, what is a semi-protected article?
Great question, Carmen. So we, even though Wikipedia is just an open source platform and open governance, we're all volunteering. There are a few pages that they tend to be more contested socially. So if you think about topics or maybe pages of politicians or government leaders or thinking about topics that they may or may not be even vandalized in the case of feminist pages, even though I don't, we're not doing anything harmful to anybody. Sometimes there are bad actors that they go because Wikipedia is open and they vandalize that page, maybe erasing content or, basically de-archiving the content on Wikipedia and removing important information there. And going back to Alessandra's talk, how important it is sometimes not generate the data because we're not creating original work on Wikipedia, but we're actually putting reliable source and reliable information available to others. So there are, in that sense, there are pieces and articles that they are semi-protected. And who protect them? It's basically, there are a few tools within the Wikimedia Foundation that they flag to people who are, they have different user powers that they actually have access to these pages, but most people don't because we don't want people to go into the gender-based violence page, for instance, and vandalizing content or removing information that should be out there. So in that case, especially younger Wikimedians, they can't edit those pages, but I put them here anyway. One, because I was hoping that somebody would ask me this question, and two, because I think they're incredibly important and they are pretty good. And thinking about the radical feminist page or gender equality, there are people working on those pages for a number of years now. And you see, especially the some of them, they're huge, they're super long, lots of reliable sources there. So it's really like a research article. So I think this is one of the things that, depending what we create, just another way of saying that this is a community and there are people with multiple views, just basically a reflection of society, and they are entitled to edit on Wikipedia. And even though we should be working on good faith, some people might not be doing that. It's not, just again, it's uncommon, but definitely not exactly rare, especially in these days, thinking about, if you think about climate change or topics on democracy, the case of feminist studies, they are not different from those. So they are semi-protected. That was a long answer to this question. Thank you, Miranda. Miranda, question for you. Can you actually add the dashboard? Now I'm not sure if I actually granted.
Your question is it about adding Doug Bonnie to the dashboard? Or is it more? Yeah, I
Exactly.
can do that. I'm doing that right now.
Thank you. And put yourself as facilitator. That was just, please. Yuvia, if I can respond to your topic, I think this is an amazing idea, adding a section. And again, if you need help with that, with the buttons and the interface, let me know.
Hey, Michaela, this is Miranda speaking. Sorry, somebody's mowing their lawn or something, so there's background noise, but I wasn't able to add it on the dashboard. I think you have to because you created the dashboard, and you can click the edit details and just enter the dag.wikipedia, and it should let you do that.
We'll do it right now. I might need to stop sharing for a second, but then I can bring the page back. Well, I can see you're all focused, but let me know if you have any questions.
Hey, Michaela, this is Kira speaking. Sylvia pointed out something that maybe you want to do some screen sharing about. Sylvia said, I'm not sure if people know how to add the article they're editing on the dashboard.
Fun. Let's do this. Okay. Oh, I'm muted. Okay. Let's just go back and pause and look at the dashboard again for a minute. You see, we already have a few editors. So again, it keeps updating. And you see there's again all that info. But one of the things we can do, we'll see the list of editors. Just that sometimes we can see what folks are working on right now. For instance, we have intersectionality. Hey, Mary, you're here. We have Mary working in the green wave and feminicide, femicide, and I'm curious to read later on about that. But then you can go and add your own articles. Oops. Let's see. Oh, there are a few buttons here that I like. So you can assign random peer reviews. You can go in editor's overview, assignments and exercises. You can add and remove. You see username, characters you can change. There are a few buttons you can play in the dashboard at this point. And you can have assignments, and then you can select editors, and you can go, let's just click myself. And I can assign myself an article. I hope you guys can see that I have to move to one side. And I can, let's see. And then I'm afraid that I'm going to assign an article that somebody's just working on, but I can go Transnational Feminism. And then, here we go. And I can click on that and it takes me directly to the page. And that's just something really nice because again, we can see what other editors are working at the moment and we don't duplicate, which is usually sometimes it's not a good thing because again, if somebody edits and updates a page, you might lose your own. So anyway, so this is actually a great tool. Thanks, Kira. And because I edit by myself so much, I tend not to do that, but it's nice when you have a group. And we really advise doing that when you're organizing your own event, which we also recommend you doing. Then we go back to that editors page. And then you see all of them right here. You can see that Kid is just working in Dana Claxton. She's this fantastic artist as well. Oops. What else? And there's also something, there's a small detail, but I do love to check. Just when the last edits and the statistics, they will be, or they were updated. So in that case, was about an hour ago, and in about an hour, you see the numbers and the figures being generated here. You might keep an eye on this link maybe later tonight or tomorrow, and you see how the numbers they change. It's actually super fun if you're looking into, thinking about how, again, we track progress through Wikipedia projects. Let's see if there's something in the chat. Oh yeah, well, thank you, Sukia. That's a good. I'm going to keep the suggestions in the chat. Let's take a look. If you're arriving now or coming from one of the breakout rooms and have any questions, let me know. I see some new people in the room. Thanks, Kira. This is Michaela speaking. I want to say thank you so much to my guest week comedians, Melissa and Flavia, and of course, my wonderful guest speaker, Alessandra, and to all of you really for sticking together the past couple of hours. It went by really fast. I just want to say that the event might be ending in a couple of minutes, but the Wikipedia work doesn't. So please continue to edit and reach out and ask questions. And definitely the feminist work doesn't end. So we have a lot of work to do, not just in Wiki, but outside of the internet as well. So I hope you enjoyed our session. I really hope that you come back for other Art+Feminism events and ask questions and organize your own event. We really recommend that you join our campaign. More events and talks are coming in the fall, so please stay tuned. Follow us on social media, email us. Just add us to the group chats. I want to say thank you absolutely to my Art+Feminism colleagues, Kira, Bisanga, Miranda, Nina, Flavia. I'm not sure if Zita is around, but just a big thank you. And thank you to all of you, really. And again, if you have any questions, I will stick around for another 5 minutes or so. But yeah, I just want to thank you all.
Hi, maybe I can promote or tell you about an interesting event. My name is Sandra Becker and I'm working for Wikimedia Switzerland, and I'm at the moment organizing the International Museums Day. I will also put the page here, and we are planning an online panel. I invite you all to join. But also, if you want to do some campaigning or anything related, we have now the project page in 7 languages. But everyone is interested to participate with even small projects, and then just add the link to the project page. That would be really wonderful. And it's a special situation, as it's the first time in history that we were asked by ICOM International to do this campaign, and ICOM International wants to support us. So it's not as last year's us supporting ICOM. This year they want to support us because they need more visibility. So that's really exciting. Yeah. And just I just want you to know about this and spread the word. And I don't know, if you can do something, that's great.
Hi, Sandra. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you came, and we will definitely look into your event. Good luck organizing it. It sounds wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. It's just very short time, but yeah, thanks.